The rain hammered down on the cracked sidewalk of West Village like it was trying to wash away the sins of the city, but it couldn't touch the fresh scar on Nathaniel's heart. He stumbled out of the dive bar on Christopher Street, the taste of cheap whiskey burning his throat, when he saw him, Sebastian, leaning against a lamppost, cigarette dangling from lips that Nathaniel had once kissed until they bruised. "Nate," Sebastian whispered, voice cracking like thunder. "I never stopped loving you. I destroyed us to save myself." Nathaniel's fist clenched, the world tilting as memories flooded back. The betrayal that had shattered him 3 years ago. The night Sebastian chose his rising music career over their fragile life together, leaving Nathaniel bleeding on the floor of their tiny Brooklyn apartment. That was the night it all unraveled. Nathaniel remembered it with the clarity of a fresh wound, the kind that doesn't scab over, just festers. He was 25 then, fresh out of NYU with a degree in graphic design that felt more like a noose than a lifeline. Sebastian was the spark, the wildfire. A 24-year-old singer-songwriter with eyes like smoked quartz and a voice that could coax confessions from stone. They'd met at a cramped open-mic night in the East Village, Nathaniel sketching strangers in the dim light while Sebastian strummed his guitar, singing about lost boys and midnight regrets. One song in, their eyes locked, and by the encore, Nathaniel was hooked. It started fast, the way New York romances do, fueled by bodega coffee and stolen hours in Central Park. Sebastian crashed at Nathaniel's shoebox walk-up in Bushwick, his guitar propped against the wall like a third roommate. They were broke but electric, cooking ramen with whatever spices they could afford, fucking on a mattress that sagged in the middle, whispering dreams under threadbare sheets. "You're my anchor, Nate," Sebastian would say, tracing the freckles across Nathaniel's chest. "In this crazy city, you're the only real thing." Nathaniel believed him, built his world around those words. He designed flyers for Sebastian's gigs, networked with indie labels, even pawned his grandfather's watch to fund a demo recording. Love, in their gritty corner of America, was a hustle, and they were all in. But Sebastian's talent was a beast that hungered for more. Offers trickled in. First a spot opening for a bigger act at Bowery Ballroom. Then a manager sniffing around after a viral clip on TikTok. Nathaniel cheered him on, ignoring the gnawing fear that success might pull Sebastian away. "We're unbreakable," he'd say, kissing the worry lines from Sebastian's brow, until the night it proved a lie. It was a humid August evening, the kind where the air clung like regret. Nathaniel came home early from a freelance gig, arms full of grocery bags, steak from the butcher on Knickerbocker, a bottle of Sebastian's favorite cheap red. The apartment door creaked open to moans, rhythmic and raw, echoing from the bedroom. His heart slammed against his ribs as he dropped the bags, milk spilling across the linoleum like spilled trust. There was Sebastian, tangled in sheets with a guy from the label, a slick producer with a jawline sharp enough to cut glass. They didn't even notice him at first, lost in the frenzy, Sebastian's head thrown back in ecstasy that Nathaniel had thought was his alone. The betrayal hit like a freight train. Nathaniel stood frozen, the world narrowing to that bed, those bodies. When Sebastian finally saw him, his face crumpled. Not with shame, but with a desperate, selfish plea. "Nate, wait. It's not what it looks like." He said it was part of the deal. The exposure, the tour. Lies tumbled out, excuses wrapped in ambition's silk. Nathaniel didn't scream. He just turned, walked out into the night, the door clicking shut like a guillotine. He ended up on the Williamsburg Bridge, staring at the East River churning below, wondering if one step would end the ache. But he didn't jump. He survived barely. 3 years later, that survival was a hollow victory. Nathaniel, now 28, scraped by as a junior art director at a midtown ad agency, churning out soulless campaigns for energy drinks and luxury condos. His apartment in Hell's Kitchen was a sterile box. White walls, IKEA furniture, a fridge stocked with takeout containers. Dates were rare, mechanical swipes on Grindr that fizzled before coffee. The scar Sebastian left ran deep, a vein of distrust that poisoned every connection. Friends said he was guarded, but Nathaniel knew the truth. He was broken, piecing himself together with therapy sessions he could barely afford and runs along the Hudson at dawn. chasing ghosts. That rainy night in the village, fate or cruelty threw them together again. Nathaniel had gone to the bar to drown a bad review from his boss, not to exorcise demons. But there Sebastian was, soaked through his leather jacket, looking every bit the indie heartthrob. Blonde waves plastered to his forehead, stubble shadowing that jaw Nathaniel still dreamed of in his weakest moments. The cigarette fell from Sebastian's fingers as their eyes met, time folding in on itself. "Nate," Sebastian repeated, stepping forward, hands outstretched like he could bridge the chasm. Rain streamed down his face, mixing with what might have been tears. "I saw your post on Insta, that exhibit opening. I had to come. God, you look incredible." Nathaniel laughed, a bitter bark that cut through the downpour. "Incredible? Try surviving. What the hell are you doing here, Seb? Come to twist the knife." His voice trembled, fists balled at his sides. The streetlights cast long shadows, turning Sebastian's face into a mask of remorse. "I deserve that. Every word." Sebastian's eyes, those damn eyes, searched Nathaniel's face like he was memorizing it for a song. "I've been writing about you. Every hit single, every lyric. It's all you. The tour was hell without you. I thought fame would fill the hole, but it just made it bigger." He reached out, fingers brushing Nathaniel's sleeve, and electricity sparked despite the storm. Nathaniel jerked back, but not before the touch ignited something buried. Anger? Yes, but also that treacherous pull, the gravity of what they'd lost. "Save it for your fans," Nathaniel spat, turning to walk away. But Sebastian grabbed his arm, gentle yet firm, spinning him back. "Please, just one coffee. Let me explain. I was a coward, Nate. I hurt you to chase a dream that turned into a nightmare. But seeing you now, I realize you're the only one who ever made me whole." The words hung there, heavy as the rain. Nathaniel's resolve cracked, just a hair, enough for the past to seep in. Against every instinct screaming to run, he nodded. "One coffee, then you leave. Forever." They ducked into a 24-hour diner on Bleecker, the kind with vinyl booths cracked from decades of heartbroken confessions. The waitress, a no-nonsense woman with a Bronx accent, poured them mugs without a word, sensing the electricity crackling between them. Sebastian peeled off his jacket, revealing a faded tattoo on his collarbone. Their initials intertwined, inked in a haze of post-gig passion. Nathaniel's gaze lingered, then flicked away, heat rising in his cheeks. "So, talk," Nathaniel said, wrapping his hands around the mug for warmth. "What do you want, really? Absolution? A sequel to our disaster flick?" Sebastian leaned forward, elbows on the scarred Formica table. "Truth? I want you back. Not the kid chasing spotlights I grew up, Nate. The label dropped me after I tanked the last album. Too messy, they said. Turns out, without you, my songs were just noise." His voice broke, raw and unfiltered, the way it used to when he'd serenade Nathaniel at 3 a.m. that night. Panicked. The producer cornered me, said it had opened doors. I thought it was one night, a means to an end. But when I saw your face, I knew I'd lost everything. Nathaniel's throat tightened, the old wound throbbing. One night? Try a lifetime of trust shredded. I gave you everything, Seb. My heart, my time, my goddamn soul. And you threw it away for a handjob and a playlist spot. The words lashed out, sharper than intended, but Sebastian took them, unflinching. I know, and I've hated myself every day since. Therapy, rehab for the coke that crept in. It's been a war. He slid a worn notebook across the table, pages filled with scrawled lyrics. Read this. Echoes in the hollow. It's about that night. How I saw your light go out and mine did too. Nathaniel hesitated, then flipped it open. The words bled onto the page. Your shadow on the wall. A ghost I can't outrun / rain on the river. Washing sins but not the one / who loved me broken. Now I'm the fracture in the sun. Tears pricked his eyes, unbidden. Damn him. Sebastian always knew how to wield words like weapons or bomb. Fine. Nathaniel murmured, closing the book. You've got my attention. But don't think this fixes anything. I'm not that naive kid anymore. As the rain eased outside, they really talked, for the first time in years. Sebastian spoke of the tour buses that felt like cages, the groupies who were echoes of loneliness, the Grammy nod that tasted like ash without Nathaniel there to share it. Nathaniel shared his own battles. The promotion that came at the cost of his creativity, the string of bad dates that left him colder, the way he'd stopped drawing for pleasure, only for paychecks. By the time the diner lights flickered toward closing, the chasm between them felt less like a Grand Canyon, more like a bridge half-built. Sebastian walked Nathaniel to his subway stop, the city humming around them. Taxis splashing puddles, laughter spilling from bars. At the platform edge, Sebastian paused, close enough that Nathaniel could smell his cologne, that familiar mix of sandalwood and smoke. "Thank you," Sebastian said softly, "for not hating me enough to say no." Nathaniel met his gaze, heart pounding. "Don't thank me yet. This could be the stupidest thing I've done since loving you." Their fingers brushed as the train roared in, accidental electric. And just like that, the hook was set again. The weeks that followed blurred into a dangerous dance, one Nathaniel swore he'd never reprise. Coffee turned to late-night texts, tentative olive branches in the glow of phone screens. "Missed your laugh today. Remember that time in Coney Island?" Sebastian would write at 2 a.m., and against his better judgment, Nathaniel would reply, "The Ferris wheel where you puked cotton candy on my shoes? How could I forget?" It was nostalgia's trap, sweet and insidious, pulling him back into the orbit he'd escaped. But escape was a lie he'd told himself. Sebastian had always been under his skin, a melody he couldn't unhear. Now, with autumn painting Manhattan in golds and reds, they met more often, neutral ground, like the High Line where tourists milled and the Hudson whispered secrets. Sebastian was different, tempered by failure. His once wild eyes held a quiet depth, his laugh less performative, more genuine. He was between gigs, bartending at a speakeasy in the Lower East Side to pay rent on a sublet in Alphabet City. "It's humbling," he'd say, pouring Nathaniel a whiskey neat, wiping spills instead of signing autographs. "But it beats the emptiness." Nathaniel watched him closely, searching for the lie, the crack that would reveal the old opportunist. Yet Sebastian showed up, consistently, vulnerably. He attended Nathaniel's art exhibit in Chelsea, a small affair of digital collages exploring urban isolation. Standing amid the crowd of pretentious collectors, Sebastian whispered, "These are you, Nate, the loneliness I caused. But look, there's light breaking through." His hand grazed Nathaniel's lower back, a touch that lingered, igniting sparks long dormant. That night, they ended up at Nathaniel's place, the skyline twinkling through floor-to-ceiling windows he'd splurged on after a bonus. Wine flowed, stories spilled. Sebastian confessed the darker chapters. The spiral after their breakup, pills to numb the stage fright, a stint in a Silver Lake rehab where palm trees mocked his isolation. "I wrote you letters," he admitted, voice thick. "Burned them all. Too scared to send." "Why now?" Nathaniel asked, perched on the edge of the couch, knees inches from Sebastian's. The room smelled of takeout Thai and possibility. "Because life's too short for regrets that choke you." Sebastian's hand found Nathaniel's, thumb tracing the knuckles. "And because every song I sing feels like screaming your name to an empty room." The kiss happened then, inevitable as the tide. It started soft, tentative, a brush of lips over the rim of wine glasses clinking down. Then hunger took over, years of pent-up ache pouring out. Nathaniel's fingers tangled in Sebastian's hair, pulling him closer, tasting salt and surrender. They stumbled to the bedroom, clothes shedding like old skins, bodies remembering rhythms long paused. Sebastian's mouth on his neck, whispering "I'm sorry" between gasps. Nathaniel's nails raking down his back, marking territory reclaimed. It was messy, fervent, fucking as apology as absolution. Afterward, tangled in sheets that smelled of them, Nathaniel traced the tattoo again. "This stayed," he murmured. "Some things are permanent. Sebastian replied, kissing his temple. Like how you own me. For a while, it felt like healing. They rebuilt in stolen moments. Brunches at Sarabeth's where Sebastian sketched song ideas on napkins, Nathaniel doodling caricatures of snooty patrons. Walks in Washington Square Park, feeding pigeons and dodging jugglers. Lazy Sundays in bed, binging old episodes of Queer as Folk while debating if Brian and Justin were soulmates or codependents. Sebastian's vulnerability was a revelation. He journaled now, shared drafts of songs that wove their story into folk-tinged ballads. Nathaniel opened up too, admitting the panic attacks that gripped him in meetings, the way he'd ghosted a promising guy last year because trust felt like quicksand. "You're braver than you know," Sebastian said one crisp October evening, as they strolled the leaf-strewn paths of the park. A busker strummed a cover of Hallelujah, and Sebastian hummed along, his arms slung casually over Nathaniel's shoulders. For the first time in years, Nathaniel didn't flinch at the public affection. In the mosaic of New York's queer tapestry, it felt right, unapologetic. But shadows lurked. Whispers from mutual friends. Sebastian circling back. Careful, Nate. A tabloid blip from last year, buried but unearthed by Nathaniel's late-night Google rabbit hole. Sebastian spotted with a model in L.A., post-rehab glow-up. Just PR, Sebastian dismissed when confronted. But doubt seeded, a tiny thorn. The first real crack came mid-November, as Thanksgiving loomed like a family obligation neither wanted. Nathaniel's parents, conservative holdouts in suburban Jersey, had never warmed to his lifestyle, as they phrased it. Invites were perfunctory. Attendance, a battlefield. Sebastian suggested they host their own feast, just them with friends from the old circuit. Queer family, he called it, grinning over pumpkin pie recipes pulled from his phone. The dinner was magic. A loft in Soho borrowed from a drag queen pal, table groaning under turkey from Zabbers, vegan stuffing for the vegans, and endless mimosas. Friends piled in, Javier the photographer with his wry jokes, Lena the playwright nursing a crush on everyone. Sebastian held court, guitar in hand, leading an impromptu sing-along to his unreleased tracks. Nathaniel watched from the kitchen doorway, heart swelling. This was the life he'd mourned. Messy, loud, loved. Later, as plates cleared and laughter echoed, Sebastian pulled him into a quiet corner, kissing him slow and deep. "This is us," he breathed. "Real. No spotlights. Just you and me." But the next morning, hungover and hopeful, Nathaniel's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Ask your boyfriend about the demo he sent to Capitol last week. Some things don't change." Attached was a screenshot. An email chain, Sebastian pitching a new single, the lyrics unmistakably theirs, twisted into a redemption arc without credit. Our story, Nathaniel realized, stomach dropping. He's selling it. Confrontation brewed all day. Sebastian arrived at Nathaniel's with coffee and croissants. Oblivious. "Last night was perfect," he said, nuzzling into Nathaniel's neck. "Is it?" Nathaniel shoved the phone at him, voice steel. "Or just material for your comeback?" Sebastian's face drained of color, eyes widening. "Nate, no, it's not like that. My manager pushed me. I didn't send it, he did. I swear." "Lies again." Nathaniel's voice rose, the apartment closing in. "You take our pain, our healing, and package it for A&R suits? Am I just your muse? Seb? Collateral in your redemption tour." Sebastian reached for him, desperate. "I cut it off this morning. Listen." He played a voice memo, his voice pleading with the manager. "Scrap it. That's not for sale. That's sacred." But the damage was done, trust fracturing like glass underfoot. "I can't do this," Nathaniel said, chest heaving. "Not again. Get out." Sebastian lingered at the door, rain starting anew outside. Poetic cruelty. "I love you, Nate. Let me prove it." The door shut, echoing the first time. Alone, Nathaniel sank to the floor, sobs racking him. Healing, it seemed, was just hurt in disguise. Yet, in the quiet aftermath, a spark remained. Days turned to a week of radio silence. Nathaniel burying in work, sketching furious abstracts of broken hearts and barbed wire. Friends rallied, Javier dragging him to a gallery crawl, Lena force-feeding him empanadas, but the void ached. Sebastian's absence was a phantom limb, throbbing. Then the gesture. A package at his door, no return address. Inside, the notebook from the diner, pages torn out, replaced with new ones. Lyrics, raw and unpolished. I carved your name in every scar/traded gold for what we are/no more stages. Just your war/heal me. Nate, or let me fall. Tucked in the back, a USB drive, recordings of their songs, stripped bare, no polish, just voice and guitar. The last track. An apology set to melody. Sebastian's voice cracking on I was the storm. You're the shore/forgive the wreckage. Love me more. Nathaniel played it on loop, tears streaming. Damn him. The pull was magnetic. Forgiveness a tide he couldn't fight. He texted, my place. Now. Sebastian arrived soaked, eyes red-rimmed. No words, just a collision of bodies, kisses fierce as furies. I'm done with the industry. Sebastian gasped against his lips. You. Only you. They made love like it was war and peace. Bodies arching in the dim light. Whispers weaving promises. Afterward, curled together, Nathaniel traced Sebastian's ribs. No more secrets. None, Sebastian vowed. We're in this or not at all. Winter crept in, blanketing the city in frost. Their rhythm steadied. Shared shifts at the agency where Nathaniel landed a lead on a queer nonprofit campaign. Sebastian gigging small open mics, not arenas, channeling energy into co-writing with Nathaniel, who dabbled in lyrics now. Holidays passed in a blur of lights and eggnog. New Year's Eve found them on Nathaniel's fire escape. Champagne flutes raised to the ball drop, Sebastian's ring of keys to the apartment a quiet milestone. But peace was fragile, and conflict brewed beneath. Sebastian's ex-manager, a shark named Derek, started circling emails, calls, veiled threats about wasted potential. Nathaniel sensed the tension in Sebastian's silences, the way his phone buzzed late at night. Block him, Nathaniel urged one snowy evening, snowflakes melting on the window pane. I am, Sebastian lied, and Nathaniel pretended not to notice, clinging to the fragile trust. Spring erupted in the city like a confession long held, cherry blossoms dusting the streets of Dumbo in pink defiance of the gray. Nathaniel and Sebastian bloomed with it, tentative then bold. They adopted a rescue mutt named Milo, a scruffy terrier mix who claimed the foot of their bed and their hearts with equal ferocity. Mornings became rituals. Coffee brewing while Sebastian strummed lazy chords, Nathaniel sketching Milo's floppy ears over his mug. Domestic bliss, Sebastian teased, but his eyes shone with something deeper, gratitude perhaps, for the second chance he'd nearly forfeited. Yet, under the idle, fissures widened. Derek's persistence morphed from nuisance to menace. Late April brought a leaked demo, their demo, the one Sebastian swore he'd buried, hitting SoundCloud with a viral push. Overnight, Sebastian's name trended. Sebastian comeback, fans dissecting lyrics that peeled back their private scars. Nathaniel woke to notifications, his face splashed in fan edits. Is this about the ex? So raw. It's bullshit. Sebastian fumed over breakfast, Milo whining at his feet. Derek must have swiped files from my old drive. I reported it, legals on it. But the damage rippled. Gigs poured in, offers from festivals, podcasts hungry for the redemption story. Sebastian deflected at first, but Nathaniel saw the siren call in his eyes, the old hunger flickering. Just one interview, he'd say, to set the record straight. Nathaniel nodded, swallowing bile. Straight. Funny choice of words. The interview aired on a queer radio show in Bushwick, host probing gently. These songs scream heartbreak. Who's the muse? Sebastian's pause stretched. Then, someone who saved me from myself. Without him, I'd be lost. Listeners ate it up. DMs flooded. Congrats mixed with speculation. Nathaniel listened alone, pride warring with paranoia. Muse. The word stung, reducing their love to inspiration fodder. That night, they fought. First real one since the reconciliation. Milo cowered under the couch as voices escalated. You're using me again. Nathaniel shouted, pacing the living room, city hum mocking through the walls. Our life as content. When does it stop being us? It's not. Sebastian shot back, face flushed. This is exposure for good. Queer stories matter. You of all people get that with your campaigns. Exposure? Or escape hatch? Nathaniel hurled the accusation, voice breaking. You dip when it suits. Leave me holding the pieces. Sebastian recoiled as if slapped. That's not fair. I'm fighting for us. For a future where I don't bartend forever. He stepped closer, hands raised. Nate, I chose you. Over everything. The air thickened, charged. Then Sebastian closed the gap, kissing him fierce, hands framing his face. Believe me, he murmured against lips. You're my everything. Doubt lingered, but passion doused it for now. They made up in the shower, steam curling like secrets, bodies slick and urgent. Promise me, Nathaniel gasped, water cascading. No more shadows. Promise, Sebastian echoed, sealing it with a bite to his shoulder. May brought a fragile truce, woven with small victories. Nathaniel's campaign launched to acclaim. A series of billboards across Times Square, vibrant murals celebrating queer resilience. Sebastian showed up at the unveiling, bouquet of daisies in hand, kissing him amid flashing cameras. Proud of you, he whispered, and for a moment, the world felt conquerable. But Derek's shadow loomed larger. A cease and desist arrived, followed by a countersuit, claims of stolen IP. The demo twisted into Sebastian's theft. Paparazzi swarmed their block, sleazy shots of them walking Milo splashed across page 6. Troubled Toonsmith and Mystery Man. Love or leverage? Privacy shattered. Nathaniel's agency fielded whispers. Is he stable? Drama follows. The climax hit on a sweltering June night, Pride Month pulsing through the city like a heartbeat. They planned to march, first time together since the early days, arm-in-arm rainbow flags waving. But Sebastian vanished mid-afternoon. Phone dead, texts unread. Panic clawed Nathaniel's gut as hours ticked by, Milo pacing at his heels. He found him at 1 a.m., slumped on a bench in Tompkins Square Park, bottle of Jack empty beside him. Sebastian's eyes were glassy, defeat etched deep. Derek cornered me, he slurred, voice wrecked. Said he'd bury us, so you two, tie up your career in depositions. Offered a deal. Sign with him, tour, and it all goes away. Nathaniel's blood ran cold. And I told him to fuck off. Sebastian laughed, hollow. But he showed me emails, old ones from that night. Proof I knew about the hookup clause. He threatened to leak it. Paint me as the villain who used you. The betrayal double-edged sliced deep. Not just Derek's, but the ghost of Sebastian's past, rising to haunt. You kept those? Nathaniel whispered, world spinning. All this time. Guilt, Sebastian admitted, head in hands. Atonement archive. I was gonna delete, but fear, rage and grief collided. Nathaniel hauled him up, dragging him home through throngs of revelers. Rain starting again. Pride's ironic soundtrack. In the apartment, sobriety crashed in. You're toxic, Seb, Nathaniel said, voice steady despite the storm inside. You heal me, then reopen the wound. I can't. Wait. Sebastian dropped to his knees, grabbing Nathaniel's hands. Don't end us. I'll burn it all, emails, demos, career. Just give me the chance to be the man you deserve. Tears streamed, mingling with rain. Nathaniel pulled him up, their foreheads touching. How? When every step forward drags us back. Together, Sebastian pleaded. Therapy, boundaries. Whatever it takes. His kiss was desperate, tasting of whiskey and wreckage. They fell into bed, not for passion, but solace, holding tight against the gale. Dawn broke gray, Milo nosing between them. Over coffee, plans formed. Lawyers consulted, Derek's threats documented, Sebastian's sobriety recommitted. But the real work was internal. Couples counseling in a sunlit office off Union Square, unpacking layers of hurt. Trust is rebuilt brick by brick, the therapist said, and they nodded, hands clasped. Summer deepened, heat wave mirroring the intensity. Sebastian quit the speakeasy, diving into session work, studio musician, no spotlight. Nathaniel mentored interns at the agency, channeling energy into mentorship. Dates became intentional. Picnics in Prospect Park, where Sebastian read poetry, Walt Whitman, queer's patron saint, and Nathaniel painted en plein air, capturing Sebastian's profile against the skyline. Yet conflict simmered. A fan encounter turned ugly. A guy at a coffee shop recognizing Sebastian, spewing vitriol, "You're that cheater from the songs," shoving Nathaniel aside. Sebastian's fist clenched, but Nathaniel intervened, heart pounding. "Walk away," he urged. Later, in the cab home, Sebastian seethed. "I should have decked him, protected you." "Violence isn't protection," Nathaniel countered gently. "It's poison." The words hung, a mirror to their past. August brought a turning point. Derek's suit dismissed, countersuit pending. Relief washed in, but so did vulnerability. Sebastian proposed a road trip, escape to the open American sprawl, healing on Route 60 SIXS Echo. "Just us, Milo in the back," he said, eyes hopeful. Nathaniel agreed, packing light. They drove west from NYC, skyline shrinking in the rearview. Pennsylvania's rolling hills gave way to Ohio's flat expanse. Motels with neon signs, their nightly ports. In a diner outside St. Louis, over Pie a la Mode, Sebastian opened the floodgates. "I never told you. I wrote to your parents after the breakup. Apologized, explained." They wrote back. Nathaniel froze, fork midway. "What?" "Forgiveness," Sebastian said softly. "They said they always knew you were gay, just worried. Blamed themselves for the distance." Tears welled. "Why didn't you say?" "Fear you'd think I was manipulating." He squeezed Nathaniel's hand. "But it's truth. They love you, Nate. We all do." The Grand Canyon loomed at trip's end, a chasm of red rock mirroring their journey. They hiked rim trails, Milo leashed tight, Sebastian's arm around Nathaniel as sunset bled gold. "This is us," Sebastian murmured. "Vast, scarred, beautiful." On the drive back, radio humming indie folk, Nathaniel realized. Healing wasn't erasure, but integration. The hurt woven into strength. Fall returned to New York like an old friend, crisp and unyielding. Leaves crunching underfoot in Central Park as Nathaniel and Sebastian navigated the next chapter. The road trip had been a salve, distances traversed mirroring emotional ones, but home brought reality's bite. Derek's shadow lingered in legal fees draining their savings, forcing Sebastian to pick up extra shifts at a new cafe in Greenwich Village. Espresso pulls funding therapy copays. Nathaniel's agency hit turbulence. Layoffs loomed, his role precarious amid corporate belt tightening. Stress simmered, manifesting in snapped words over dishes, silences heavy as fog. One October evening, after a brutal day, Nathaniel pitching a campaign vetoed for being too edgy on queer themes, he lashed out. Sebastian was late, caught in subway delays, and Nathaniel's text, "Where are you?" went unanswered. Paranoia flared, old ghosts whispering he's gone again. By the time Sebastian burst in, cheeks flushed from the chill, bearing tulips from a street vendor, Nathaniel was pacing, Milo sensing the storm. "You're late," Nathaniel accused, voice edged. "Again." Train stalled, Union Square madness. Sebastian set the flowers down, reaching out. "Rough day." "Don't." Nathaniel recoiled. "It's always excuses. Like before." The air crackled. Sebastian's face hardened, hurt flashing. "I'm not that guy anymore, but you keep waiting for me to be." He stepped back, hands up. "Maybe we need space." The word space detonated. Space? That's code for goodbye. Nathaniel's voice cracked, memories surging. The empty apartment post-betrayal. Nights alone with takeout and tears. You say you changed, but here we are, me doubting, you pulling away. "I'm not pulling," Sebastian shouted, rare anger boiling. "I'm trying, God, Nate, every day. But you look at me like I'm a bomb." He sank onto the couch, head in hands. "Maybe I am." Silence stretched, broken only by Milo's whine. Nathaniel joined him, the distance between them a chasm. "I'm scared," he admitted, voice small, "of losing you. Again." Sebastian looked up, eyes glistening. "Me too. But fear's winning." He pulled Nathaniel close, embrace tentative. "We fight it together?" They did, or tried. November's chill deepened resolve. Date nights enforced. No phones after 8 p.m. Gratitude journals exchanged like love letters. Sebastian penned lyrics of quiet victories. "In the subway's roar, your hand in mine / no spotlights, just this lifeline." Nathaniel illustrated them, turning words to art. A chapbook self-published on Etsy, modest sales but profound intimacy. Thanksgiving tested them. Nathaniel's parents extended an olive branch. Invite to Jersey, post-road trip thaw. Sebastian encouraged, "Go, show them your strength." But Nathaniel wavered, old wounds raw. "They never fought for me." "They are now," Sebastian said gently. "Like I am." The dinner was awkward. Stiff hugs, Dad's golf stories masking discomfort, Mom's pecan pie a peace offering, Sebastian charmed with tales of Milo, deflecting politics. Under the table, his hand on Nathaniel's knee anchored him. Driving back through the Lincoln Tunnel, Nathaniel exhaled. "That wasn't hell. Growth," Sebastian grinned. "Our superpower." December glittered with holidays. Rockefeller tree aglow as they skated. Sebastian's laughs echoing as he toppled into Nathaniel's arms. Gifts were thoughtful. For Sebastian, a custom guitar strap embroidered with their initials. For Nathaniel, a leather-bound sketchbook, first page inscribed to the artist who redraws my heart. Christmas Eve, they hosted friends again, tree strung with queer icons, Marcia P. Johnson ornament twinkling. Amid eggnog toasts, Javier pulled Nathaniel aside. "He's good for you. Changed man." Nathaniel nodded, watching Sebastian strum carols, Milo decked in a bow tie. "Yeah, but change is fragile." New Year's dawned with promise, but betrayal's specter struck swift. Early January, a package arrived, no sender, just a USB and note. The full truth. "For your eyes only." Heart pounding, Nathaniel plugged it in, videos grainy from a hidden cam. That night, Sebastian and the producer, but timestamped wrong, edited to imply ongoing affair. Accompanying audio, Derek's voiceover, mocking leverage, "Sweetheart, sign or it leaks." Rage blinded. He confronted Sebastian at the cafe, bursting in mid-rush. "This yours." He thrust the drive forward, voice venom. Sebastian paled, espresso machine hissing behind. "Nate, brake please." In the alley, snow flurrying, truth spilled. Derek's bluff. "Those files? Fakes, deepfake shit. I confronted him last month. Told him we're done forever." "Why hide it?" Nathaniel demanded, breath fogging. "Fear it'd break us again." Sebastian's eyes pleaded. "I handled it." Lawyers filing harassment charges. Betrayal twisted, not Sebastian's, but the system's, the world's cruelty to their love. Nathaniel sagged against the brick. "I'm tired of fighting phantoms." "Then let's end them." Sebastian pulled him close, kiss fierce against the cold. "Marry me, Nate. Not today but soon. Make it official, vows that scare the ghosts away." The proposal hung, unadorned but profound. Nathaniel's yes was whispered, snowflakes catching in his lashes. They celebrated quietly. Dinner at their first diner, rings promised for spring. Winter thawed into a tentative spring. Wedding plans blooming like tulips in Madison Square Park. Venue hunts led to City Hall dreams, guest lists blending old friends and new. But climax brewed in April, Derek's final gambit. A smear campaign, anonymous posts on Reddit's r/popheads. Sebastian's queer love story? All PR. Ex confirms cheating. Source to a burner but pain lanced fresh. Nathaniel spiraled, calls to lawyers frantic. "It's lies," he told Sebastian, but doubt crept. "What if?" Echoes of truth. Sebastian's response was steel. A live stream from their living room, Milo on his lap, guitar in hand. To the trolls, the exes, the world. "This is my truth." He played echoes in the hollow, unfiltered, then spoke. I hurt the man I love once. Never again. We're building, not breaking. Hate won't touch that. Views skyrocketed, support flooding, queer icons retweeting, fans countering with love wins real. The backlash boomeranged. Derek exposed in a BuzzFeed expose. Career torched. Vindication tasted bittersweet, but unity solidified. We survived, Nathaniel said, toasting with Sebastian on their balcony. City lights winking approval. Summer hummed with wedding fever. June date locked. Rooftop in Bushwick, wildflowers and string lights. Vows crafted in therapy. Nathaniel's I choose your scars as mine. Sebastian's your light guides my dark. The ceremony was intimate. 50 souls. Javier officiating with theatrical flair. Lena's vows reading bringing tears. Rings exchanged, simple gold bands, engraved hurt to heal. Honeymoon was domestic. A week in the Catskills. Cabin with a porch swing, Milo chasing fireflies. Nights tangled in flannel sheets, days hiking trails hand in hand. This is forever, Sebastian murmured one dawn. Coffee steaming as mist rose from the lake. Nathaniel smiled, tracing his husband's jaw. Damn right. Autumn post-wedding wrapped them in golden afterglow, but marriage wasn't a shield, merely a scaffold for deeper work. Back in the city, routines evolved, joint therapy sessions unpacking childhoods. Nathaniel's Jersey repression, Sebastian's nomadic artist parents leaving emotional voids. We're architects now, the therapist quipped, building on solid ground. They laughed, hands linked, Milo snoring at their feet. Career wins shifted favorably. Nathaniel's queer campaign birthed a promotion, creative director, heading a diversity lab at the agency. Sebastian's live stream spawned a cult following. He launched a Patreon for acoustic sessions, funding a tiny label of his own, Queer Artists, No Majors. Their first release, a collab album, Nathaniel's visuals paired with Sebastian's tracks, themes of redemption resonating. Art from our ashes, Sebastian said at the launch party in a Soho gallery, arm around Nathaniel's waist. Yet, conflict's embers glowed. October brought a ghost unbidden. The producer from that night, now sober and seeking amends via mutual friend. Coffee meet? Sebastian agonized, Nathaniel's input torn. Closure, Nathaniel urged. But not alone. The cafe rendezvous was civil, apologies exchanged, no excuses. I enabled the worst in him, the producer admitted, eyes downcast. Own my part. Sebastian nodded, tension easing. Driving home, he exhaled. That chapter's sealed. Nathaniel squeezed his thigh. Ours is open, endless pages. Thanksgiving circled back, this time with Sebastian's estranged sister flying in from Portland. First family mending. Awkward feasts turned warm. Her tales of their wild childhood softening Sebastian's edges. You're happy, she noted, hugging Nathaniel. He needed this. Winter holidays amplified joy. Tree trimming with friends. Adopting a kitten named Luna to join Milo's pack. New Year's Eve, they renewed informal vows on the Brooklyn Bridge. Rain absent, stars sharp. To us, Sebastian toasted. The hurt that healed. But true climax crested in February. A storm of vulnerability. Sebastian's label hit a snag. Funder pulled out, citing niche market risks. Despair hit hard. Late nights pacing, guitar silent. I'm a fraud, he confessed one blizzard-bound evening. Snow muffling the world. Can't even save my own dream. Nathaniel drew him to the window, city blanketed white. You're enough. We pivot together. Brainstorming birthed reinvention. Crowdfund the label, Nathaniel's designs for merch, live house shows in queer spaces. The campaign soared, backers sharing stories. Your music healed my breakup. Resilience, communal. Spring unfurled with renewal. March marked 3 years since the rain-soaked reunion. Anniversary celebrated at their diner, booth scarred deeper. Over pie, Sebastian slid an envelope. Adoption papers for Milo and Luna. Joint. Family official. Tears pricked. You sneaky romantic. Learned from the best. Summer solstice brought a festival gig. Sebastian headlining a small stage at Governor's Ball. Nathaniel backstage with pets in tow. The set was electric. Songs of them. Crowds singing choruses of healing. As finale faded, Sebastian dedicated. To the one who hurt me once and mended me forever. Spotlights caught Nathaniel's nod from wings. Love a quiet thunder. Yet humanism's core tested them in quiet ways. A friend's AIDS diagnosis rallied support. Fundraisers organized. Hospital visits shared. Life's fragile, Nathaniel reflected, holding Sebastian's hand in sterile halls. We fight for light. Sebastian nodded, kissing his knuckles. And love in the dark. By fall's turn, their story ripened. Book deal for Sebastian's memoir, Hurt to Harmony, co-authored with Nathaniel's illustrations. Not tragedy, but testament. Betrayal's sting softened by forgiveness's grace. Launch reading in a village bookstore drew tears, hugs from strangers. You gave me hope. One crisp November eve, echoing their start. They walked the village, rain threatening but holding. Milo tugged leash, Luna in carrier. Full circle, Sebastian said, stopping under that lamppost. Nathaniel pulled him close, kiss deepening as drops began. And just beginning. Years blurred into legacy. Nathaniel rose to partner at a queer-forward firm, mentoring young designers. Sebastian's label thrived, nurturing voices like theirs, raw, real. They mentored too. Safe house for runaways, art workshops blending music and visuals. Milo aged gracefully, Luna his shadow. Talks of kids surfaced. Surrogacy dreams, family expanding. Betrayals faded to footnotes, healed by time's gentle erosion. In quiet moments, Nathaniel traced Sebastian's tattoo, now matched on his own chest. Worth the scars, he'd say. Sebastian's reply, always, you're my song, Nate, eternal. And in America's beating heart, New York's endless pulse, they lived. Dramatic, emotional, romantic, human. Hurt's echo, but healing's him. The end? No, love's refrain looping forever.